For Arizona. Again, I thought Arizona would trade out and we would see quarterbacks 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're about to see some chaos because all reports have been that everybody's open for business. But apparently the Cardinals did not get an offer that they liked because it was going to take a Godfather offer, according to most, to move out of the top 4, is what we've heard. And
for Marvin Harrison, we can do it.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is the pick out of Ohio State. I say this all the time, but to me, the most impressive stat on Marvin Harrison Jr. is 0. That's how many drops he was credited with in the last 2 years combined at Ohio State. Every single thing that he was ever asked to do.
But let's discuss the other 0. 0 work in the draft process leading up to the selection. I've been dying to ask Damian about this. If you're a veteran in that locker room, right, and you were in the Patriots system, you were there with guys. It was about structure. It was about do your job, right? This guy is tailor-made for the league. Everybody's known it. I remember his sophomore year, getting texts from personnel guys who were there for Ohio State's pro day, and they're like, we're all looking at the guy we can't draft. He's running around, and he's the best guy in the field right now. Okay, we get all that. But he straight up said, nope, I'm not doing anything. I'm going all the way through the process. I'm not going to do a single thing, and you're going to take me anyway because I am the goods. The system just doesn't fit me. It's not that I don't fit the system. You're in a locker room now.
What a way to put it.
Do you have a problem with that kind of a situation? Does it at least give you some pause about who does this guy think he is? Because most other players who are in that locker room did everything, even though they didn't necessarily want to.
Yeah, I think you got to just look at it with the trajectory of, the landscape of college football leading into the professional sport. These kids are getting more and more sure of their talent, we'll say, and more sure of their ability. And they are, like you said, I'm the catch. You know what I mean? Like you said, I fit the system just doesn't fit me, if something goes wrong. So, you have to adjust with that time a little bit. And I think that he's a dude. You know what I mean? He's a dude. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
I can sit here and.
My thing is this. The guys are in that locker room at receiver are Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Chris Moore.
Well, I'm not worried about
Tyler is going to roll that red carpet
but
out.
Adam, I'm not worried about the guys he has to compete with, right? I'm worried about the leaders, the people that are, and those aren't necessarily all the time, the Patriots. I mean, there's special teams.
Yeah, it's not always your quarterback. It doesn't have to be Kyler Murray. It can be a starting middle linebacker. It can be your best special teamer. That is something that, would kind of
Matthew Slater's leader, right?
That's a good example. Because we all know, regardless, there's a way to play the game and there's a way to go about your business and stuff like that. But with this guy, he's a dude.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? And he doesn't give off the same vibe as maybe a Caleb Williams, as I'm too good to do this. It's just listen, I know what I am. I know where I stand. And as a team, you know where I stand. You guys have wanted to draft me since I was a sophomore. So this combine isn't going to – he had 0 drops. I mean, do you want to see him do a gauntlet, or you want to see him go through 2 seasons with no drops?
Yeah, and in fairness, for anyone that doesn't know, he didn't do a pro day. He didn't run at the combine. He literally just said no to everything. He's like, no, go look at my tape. But one thing in 72 hours that we have spent in LA just hanging out, you say something a lot. You say respect the game all the time because I feel it. Sitting next to you on the couch, I feel how you feel about football. There's not some part of you that's like, man, I respected the game enough to do these things that were asked of me, and you just don't?
Of course, there's a part of me that, looks at it because that's not me. That we're not talking about me right now, right? So I can obviously sit here and look at, I would have done things differently. I would have done things this way, or, maybe I would have thought of this. But at the end of the day, this is Marvin Harrison's decision. You know what I mean? He is the stud that he is. And, teams have wanted him for a long time. And now they knew what they were getting. And I don't think, you guys can tell me if you're wrong or if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard any teams complain about the fact that he didn't do a pro day. I haven't heard any teams complain about the fact
he said that all the teams he talked to that were kind of in range to take him were just like, yeah, we don't care.
Because more of this going on, right? Other than quarterbacks not throwing?
Generally, there's gripes. It's like some grumbles about it. But so one GM, actually, there were 2 GMs I thought put it in a perfect kind of frame. One said, the system, the way it's set up now, it's going to have to change. The way it works with some of these guys. And for him, it's not a good fit, and because of what the talent is. He can do this, and we have to be okay with that. That's just how it is. And then another GM said to me, it's an element of overexposure. He's like, the longer we sit and look at him, say he goes out and he runs a 4.5, And then Malik Neighbors runs in the 4-3s. And then Malik Neighbors does this, and Malik Neighbors does that. And say Malik Neighbors has a better 3-cone. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, we've looked at Marvin for so long. What about this other guy? And there was even a little bit of that, even without Marvin doing anything. Neighbors had a great pro day at LSU. It's like, oh my God, look at this guy. So that exposure after a while, you've stared at a guy who's so good for so long, where you're like, well, wait a minute, did we forget about this other guy? Well, no, you're just starting to wander because you're looking at the same high-level play over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, if it was me and I was trying to make this evaluation, I couldn't care less what he does from a workout perspective, right? Because it's all on film. Like, and he's been this guy for multiple years. Like, I agree. Cool, Malik Neighbors runs a faster 40. Like, look at what this guy does on the field. And the reality of it is that opposing defenses know this too. I mean, I track this stuff, right? Like how often these guys are double covered, how often they're beaten man zone press coverage. This guy was doubled at the highest rate I've ever seen of a prospect, and by a lot, by the way.
1/18 is the coverage.
Yeah, exactly.
1/18.
And double the amount of Malik Neighbors, double the amount of Roma Dunze. Like he's been that guy. Everybody knows he's that guy. And we talk about respect for the game. I respect the fact that he said like, yeah, I'm not training to run a 40 because like that's a different training than training to be an NFL receiver. I'm not training to do that. I'm not spending a second of my time on that. I'm spending time on improving as a wideout.
And succeeded with C.J. Stroud, succeeded with Kyle McCord.
Yeah,
right.
And also, defenses had to choose to bite the bullet on Harrison because Egbuka was on the other side. There wasn't other slouches that they could just leave off.
Yeah.
They had to double him because he was that good.
Yeah.
By the way, the public finally loves a pick. If you go to the Yahoo Sports app, iPhone users, you can give it emoji breakdown. Again, Caleb Williams at this point, only 61% of general fans love it. 63% of general fans love Jaden.
What's up?